Thank you, Madam Assistant Speaker. I want to run through some of that history that we've heard a little bit about already. We had the Territory as Parent Review, which is often known as the Varden Report, in 2004. The ACT Labor government was warned through the Varden Review of the care and protection system that there's a critical lack of placement options for children and young people needing care and protection in the Territory. We had a report called the Territory's Children Ensuring Safety and Quality Care for Children and Young People report on the Audit and Case Review in 2004. There was the first 6-month status report on the implementation of the Territory as Parent Review in 2005. We've had the Children and Young People Death Review Committee, the Public Advocate of the ACT response to Nobody's Children inquiry, the Public Advocate of the ACT's response to ACT inquiry into respite care services, and the ACT Family Violence Intervention Program in 2012. It's worth noting the Public Advocate slammed the then Minister, saying that care and protection had breached the law 24 times, which had a serious and detrimental impact on children for whom the Director-General had responsibility. That's right, Madam Deputy Speaker, it breached the law 24 times. Unfortunately, at that time, the then Minister's response was not to address the problems identified, it was to get her own lawyer to disagree with the findings. We had the profile of family violence in the ACT from the Australian Institute of Criminology in 2007-8. We had a guide to reporting child abuse and neglect in the ACT in 2014. We had child protection practice paper from ACT Health in July 2013, the ACT Auditor General's Office performance audit report of the care and protection system in 2013. I could just keep going on, listing the reports and inquiries that we've had. We had the ACT Government response to the report of the Public Advocate on child protection. Last term, in the 8th Assembly, I was the Shadow Minister for Family and Community Services, and I heard many disturbing stories from families. Apart from that, we also had the 3 reports that the Minister has alluded to in 2016, most notably the Glanfield inquiry, but also the Domestic Violence Prevention Council report and a gap analysis, and they all took place in 2016. And yet this week we had another serious breach, this time involving young people in Bimbury. So it seems to go on and on, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's not good enough to say things are already in train. Let us wait and see. Let us think about it a bit longer and look into it. If there are things we can be doing, why aren't we doing them rather than continuing to come back to this place asking for an update, asking for a report, getting another inquiry? We have to deal with systemic issues. And it's not just about individual cases, it's about the systemic issues that have to be addressed. This disempowers families and children and young people who've been through very, very difficult circumstances and, at times, tragic circumstances. In my dialogue with academics and outside experts on this topic, they recommended to me that the department should initiate an independent review at key times in the life of the Stepping Up for Our Kids model, 1, 2, 3 years in, to conduct an objective assessment, working with the Directorate to determine the model's success and failures. This is not about scapegoating the department staff or finding fault with the system, because no system is perfect. Whatever mechanisms are employed, the outcome must be a constructive assessment designed to lead to service improvement and preferably undertaken with the Directorate's full support, not obstructed. An external review could be tendered out, perhaps as a select tender. It could involve appointment of a reviewer nominated or appointed by CSD with the Minister's approval. But what's important is providing a clear scope for the project, timelines, and to guarantee access to information and other CSD supports to complete the review. If there's grounds to believe the department wouldn't support such a process into a systemic review, the Minister could commission an independent review themselves. But this isn't addressing the need for review of individual cases, where we already heard through Ms Kickett's motion, the ACT is the only jurisdiction not to have a process of independent review. Staff in this area are working in very, very difficult circumstances. That's exactly why an external review is necessary. The amendment put forward by the Minister identifies quite clearly in 1D that the Glanfield inquiry specifically recommended that a review should be undertaken of what decisions made by CYPS should be subject to either internal or external merits review, and that the review should have regard to the position in other jurisdictions and be chaired by the Justice and Community Safety Directorate. So the Glanfield inquiry has already identified that this is necessary, and we find ourselves a year down the track. Sorry, did you interject in some way? Should I? Well, that's great, but it's a year down the track and we still haven't had substantive systemic changes identified. It hasn't come out, or certainly not to our attention, that the external review process is now in place. What the fear is, and it's really hard to give voice to this fear, the fear is that another child or young person may lose their life while we're still waiting. That would be tragic for our entire community, and what we saw February last year gave shape to exactly how tragic that is and how the community responds to that. And that's what prompted the Glanfield inquiry. So Mrs Dunn and Mrs Kickett have already identified that this is not an instance where we can afford to keep waiting. We can't afford to keep thinking about it and come back with progress reports. We need concrete action, because this is about the future of our community, right down to the very granular level of our families. So I commend Ms Kickett for bringing this motion today, looking for independent review, external review of decisions, and I look forward to hearing more from the Minister in the future about concrete steps that are being taken that will produce systemic change and very, very real change for individuals who are engaged with the system.
The question is that Ms Lakuta's amendment to Ms Stephen Smith's amendment be agreed to. Ms Kickett, Mrs